two of our dogs can read, so they read
Wait,
flashcards.
what?
I know. I know. They're pretty impressive. They're very popular with the kids. They're definitely the superstars, more so than a mascot or the principal or assistant principal. The dogs are the stars of the shows.
We are surrounded by content. Content shapes who we follow, how we lead, what we buy, and even what we believe. Welcome to the Content Generation Podcast, a class intercom production where we focus on the stories that come to life in schools all over the world. We highlight the students, educators, and communities who share the content that shapes our future. Welcome back to the Content Generation Podcast. It is fun to be with you. We have been traveling across the states. Jill, I know you've been a bunch of different places and are headed more places. Have we gone coast to coast in the last couple of weeks? Pretty close.
We definitely have.
Yeah. We've had some fun opportunities to be with school PR professionals, with educators, with administrators. And Dr. Jill, one of the people that you had brought to my attention that has really been a light in a lot of places for communication, but also really in the work that she's bringing students along that journey is Nicole Eimer. Who we're going to listen to a little bit. This was a lot of fun for this conversation. I know you've gotten more time with Nicole. It was really fun to see her passion for this profession.
Nicole's such a servant leader, and she's really quiet in what she does, but man, she just gets stuff done. So I remember over a year ago when we first started talking, and she said, Jill, do you have a case study on someone who's reined in all their social media accounts and brought those in under the umbrella so that they could have a more unified voice? And I said, I don't. I am really sorry, I don't. She said, can I be your case study? And she really has been just that. She's been, like you said, a light. She's someone I point a lot of people to, and she shares her story with them and has helped a lot of others really rein in what we call rogue socials and really help to tell a more unified story in each of your buildings and districts. So she's done a lot of other things too, but that's one that really stands out.
She has a background. We didn't focus on that until a little ways into the presentation, but you will understand how she has a background in communications that really shines strong too. And I think it's so fortunate for her to be really casting some new opportunities and really some innovation in the way she's thinking about involving young people. So I hope you like this podcast. Nicole Eimer is fantastic. And welcome back to the Content Generation Podcast. I'm Ben, and we are here with Nicole Eimer. Nicole, I am excited. We were talking just a little bit in the pre-show about some of the things you've been doing to really bring school PR into focus for the faculty involved in your district, as well as students. And I would love to jump into that. But before we do, Nicole, can you give us just a little bit of background? Where are you? Tell us a little bit about your school district and how long have you been there?
Sure. Well, thank you for having me. I am Nicole Eimer. I'm the digital communications specialist for Valley View Public Schools. We are kind of a suburban school district right outside of Chicago, about 30 to 45 minutes outside of Chicago. We have two villages in our community, Romeoville and Bolingbrook. We serve about just over 15,000 students. So we're super proud of our diverse population. That's kind of our main thing we like to celebrate a lot is how diverse our population is. We serve, I believe it's around 40% Hispanic and, Spanish-speaking families. So we have a lot of things in place to support those families. And so that's just a little bit about our community. We have 12 or 13 elementary schools. We have an early childhood center too, and then 5 middle schools and 2 high schools, and then 1 STEP program. So we are a pretty large school district. I believe we're the seventh largest in Illinois. So again, super proud of our community and our student population.
Well, I know you've been well known and even better respected in the Illinois community as we spent some time in your neck of the woods. But also, like, as we think about what you've been doing to really advocate for communication, I love that you talked about the diversity within the district, because you're also doing a lot of initiatives to help really bring some diversity in the voices that are creating the content throughout your school district. And one of the reasons I was excited to talk to you today. So can you tell me a little bit about like how that's come about and what you've done to help that to happen?
Absolutely. About 3 or 4 years ago, we revamped our strategic plan, and really a big portion of our plan was making sure that our school culture and our students, staff, and family sense of belonging was really at the forefront of our plan. So, kind of a big piece of that fell to our communications and our community outreach. So that's really been a big push. And kind of my role has been connecting with the schools and really helping them figure out what that means to connect with their student and their family population, really giving them their own voice and their own sense of, what does their school culture look like, making sure that their students' faces are forefront, representing those diverse populations in their posts that they share on socials, what their websites look like. So that's really been a big focus this year for me, connecting with our schools, and we've seen a huge growth in the engagement on our socials, and kind of transitioning from using social as just like a reminder, or posting events that are coming up, and using socials more as a way to show what our schools look like in the classroom, just in general, and making sure we highlight our students, but also our families that come in, and our staff as well.
How has that role changed for you from being known as a school PR professional who creates the content to being a school PR leader that's facilitating all of that content for the other people in your district?
Sure. Well, my role has definitely changed, just as far as curating content versus creating content. So it's kind of a little bit easier, but a little bit different. I also work with another director of community relations in our department, and he's kind of the boots on the ground out there taking pictures, doing video, and things like that. So that's always helpful to have that. But we're really getting a ton more content from our schools and sharing that on socials. So instead of really doing the legwork to find those stories or find those unique moments throughout the week, the schools are doing that for us. So then we can kind of pick and choose and really, pinpoint what we want to highlight at the district level, because the schools are generating so much content, whether it's photos or videos that they're sharing on socials. So that's really been a big shift. I know, we kind of follow a weekly calendar of what we want to post, and we have certain topics that we like to cover. And this year I've started doing our Friday favorites. So that's kind of fun for me, because I kind of, sort through our socials throughout the week and pull my favorite photos. And then that gives the district the opportunity to kind of really showcase the diversity and what's going on in our schools, with minimal effort on my part, I would say.
Yeah.
All I really have to do is collect the photos. And then it also kind of benefits us too, because when we post that, we tag the schools, and it boosts our engagement, because then a parent that might follow only one school can kind of see the different schools in our district. Or if they follow the district only, they can kind of then follow the schools. So we've seen a lot of like kind of cross promotional benefits in that respect. But I've definitely seen a big increase in the engagement of our posts when we do those Friday favorites. Those are by far the most popular um, posts that we share out. So it's super exciting to see that type of boost of engagement.
That's awesome. So, as we think about your role changing, how have you started to educate people in the, that aren't necessarily school PR professionals, right? Like,
Mhm.
there's only two of you who are in your entire district. So, like, how do you educate the rest of the people who are collecting that content for you to curate?
Well, it's definitely a balancing act because we have a digital content creator at each school. Some of the bigger schools have two, but they range from anything from a teacher to a front office secretary to a club sponsor. So we kind of have to. They have different perspectives based on their role in their building. So it's really giving them the support and the tools that they need to make sure that they're, accurately representing their building, whether it's in photos or videos. So sometimes it's kind of tricky because a teacher is kind of booked throughout the day. So they're not really able to get out and get those, snaps and those pictures throughout the day. The secretaries, it might be a little easier, obviously not during like their kind of busy hours with attendance and everything in the morning. So balancing that has been a little bit of a challenge, but really we've seen huge strides in the amount of content that is being posted, whether those digital content creators are getting the content from other teachers, um, or kind of doing a collection at the end of the week to kind of curate that content. And that's where class intercom is great because we can kind of open up those channels for those staff members to kind of share with our digital content creator, and they can kind of approve it and post it, and then it's on its way. So that definitely streamlines the process. It makes it a little easier to get that content. But yeah, it's just kind of been a big learning curve for a lot of these staff members that have been selected as digital content creators, teaching them, a lot about resolution, different photo editing skills, just trying to keep us on brand with what pictures we're posting and making sure that, we're not doing the same types of photos. We're really wanting to get in and, show it from a student's perspective almost. So getting like down with the littles at their level, making sure that we kind of represent that. Um, and the great thing is some of our high school students are already starting to curate some content too. So we have two amazing groups at both of our high schools that generate content for like daily announcements or weekly announcements. So that's been awesome to see those students making their own content. Their video editing skills probably put mine to shame because they're so advanced and they pick up text
Yeah.
so fast. So that's been awesome to see and learn from our students. What's popular, what type of video or what type of content they want to see. So I hope to continue that this year, connecting with our student groups.
That's awesome. I love to hear how you're implementing leadership, right? And it really is because so often we think of ourselves being just better content creators, but like we're
Mm-hmm.
not there, right? And so I love that as a model when you said, hey, you've got at least a point person. Like, so you've got
Mm-hmm.
that person who is thinking about it per building. And then you can kind of build teams behind that, right? And it sounds
Mm-hmm.
like that, as we've sort of watched your social media and really what you've been doing grow, like that's a big part of it is you've gotten a good team in place. And yeah, that's just great leadership that it's not just about you. Like it's not just about your creating the content. So I love to see that. And you're starting to get some students involved. involved, which is really fun. Really fun to see that. So have you had some moments where you've had to defend the brand, where you've had to say, that photo, that video, it's not quite on brand?
On a daily basis.
Okay,
Um,
good.
yeah, and there's certain schools that, are at a different level as far as their skill set with taking photos, or just like a technical background of, you know, uh, editing video clips together. So we have some rock stars that are probably beyond my level of tech, but
Yeah.
we also have some that need a little bit extra help. And it's kind of great to balance that because I've built this community of digital content creators, and I kind of keep them connected to each other. So if a certain elementary school is struggling, they can connect with a different elementary school who's maybe excelling in posting or creating content for certain things. One of our elementary schools has been absolutely a champion of creating really cool weekly campaigns. So we have a great nutrition services department, and they bring new fruits and vegetables to the schools to kind of test out. And our digital content creator kind of does fruit or vegetable of the week and takes a lot
Nice.
of snaps of,
Yeah.
kids trying a fruit or vegetable they've never heard of. Or I think the other day it was some kind of sour fruit. And so there were a lot of pictures of sour faces, which was kind of cool. So that's like an amazing piece of content that I would have never known because I'm not in the schools like seeing that stuff happen. So that's another benefit of having our content creators directly in the schools. They know kind of the ins and outs and the cool things that are happening throughout the day.
Well, and how much more fun is that than sharing, here's what's on the menu this week, and
Exactly.
here's the list, right? I like the sour faces videos. Jill and I were actually talking about some of what you were doing in nutrition services yesterday, and I'm like, that's a fantastic example of something that you don't get that perspective unless you're in the school. And
Hmm.
so those parents and community members don't get to see that unless you're telling it from that first person point of view, which I think is you can't do that from the central office, right? Like you just can't find it.
Exactly. And unless you're in the school seeing it, while it happens, you miss out on those special moments that, maybe it's a quick 5-minute visit from someone or, something that, you don't think necessarily to capture in that moment. But our schools are starting to share those moments. And I think that's really what we want. And it focuses and showcases our culture that is in the building, the, what the kids see day after day, and why they love coming to school.
So I want to go back to something that you said about how you were building a community of digital content creators. And I think it's profound. When you got into school PR, did you ever think you'd be building a community? Where did that come from?
No, I actually started. I most of my career here at Valley View has been in the technology department. So as you can understand, technology kind of is its own little world sometimes.
Yeah.
Um, so that's kind of why I excel at some of the bells and whistles and the back end stuff when we're setting things up. But technology definitely sometimes operates in its own little silo. So it's been interesting to kind of expand and really connect with, certain staff members in their buildings and build that community, like you were mentioning. And, like I said before, there's a very wide range of skill sets that makes it challenging day after day. Some people need more support than others, and then others I get inspiration from. So that's what I love about how we've kind of transitioned our communications team, and those positions in the schools.
Love it. Love it. You came from a technology background. Is that what you studied in school?
No, I actually have my degree in graphic design.
Oh,
So
cool.
That kind of helps, obviously, a little bit with communications. And then actually, I was in radio for a while. So,
Oh wow, that's okay. You're it's coming out here. You've got a great persona for that. That's fantastic. So, yeah, I mean, I think there's so many nerdy things when I think of, sort of like setting up our podcast studio, or all those sorts of things. When you start to break that down, I'm really grateful for the chance for people like yourself that have made it approachable for those people who might not think it's as approachable to get into maybe content creation. So have you found that you're breaking down some barriers because maybe you know how to use Adobe and you know how to use all these tools, that you're bringing in people that might not be or might not have had any exposure to those types of tools?
sure. With programs like Canva or Adobe, photo editing software, things like that, but also like the hardware. So I've learned a lot from our students about what microphones they prefer, what cameras, even though most of them use their cell phones. Um, so that's been an interesting partnership with our high schools, is kind of understanding what needs they have as far as like their technical equipment that they want to kind of add on to their arsenal of tools. um, but then kind of pushing that down to the elementary schools that maybe aren't so tech savvy, but they still want to create like amazing, great quality photos. So sharing that kind of knowledge between them. um, I do a weekly email to all of my content creators, and I include a lot of other people in that because they kind of use my emails to get inspired. I like to share out new tech that I'm aware of, or if something I found on Amazon is really working for one school, I'll kind of share that out. Whether it's a tiny little lapel mic that works really well, but it's super low cost. Um, let's see, I use like a phone gripper that you can kind of grip your phone and mount it to different surfaces. So little things like that I like to share, especially if they're pretty low cost, because they make it super affordable. And then you can just use your cell phone. So I like to share those with our group to make sure, if someone doesn't know where to begin, like here are some tools that will get you started. And then for our more advanced users, like some higher cost items to kind of really up their game, whether it's, a better camera, or, some kind of ring light that's new and trending. So that's kind of interesting for me because I like to keep up on the trends. And again, the piece with technology, kind of slipping that in a little bit too.
Well, I love it, Nicole. I think the way that you're approaching it is fantastic because sometimes we get constrained by what we know, and
Mm-hmm.
then we don't let other people learn that. And so, as a graphic designer, it's really easy to say, "I could do that better," and you're instead saying, "Hey, I want to help you to have those tools and to lead and grow." And that's what we should be about in education anyway. So it's really fun to see your example of being able to move that from your own knowledge to getting a whole district to start to benefit from that. So
Yeah,
fantastic
that's
work.
one of our main priorities in our strategic plan, like I mentioned, is learning and growing. And hopefully most people here that work in our district are constantly on the seek for, different new knowledge about how to use tools, or as you know, technology and social media is always changing. So really staying on top of that, knowing what platforms are most popular with our families. Um, we recently, in the past few years, especially over COVID, we really saw a boost in our Instagram followers.
Hmm.
So I think we just created our Instagram account probably 5 years ago. Maybe it was right around when COVID hit. So getting that account up and running, even though our Facebook is probably got the most followers, I'm sensing a big shift in the popularity of Instagram, and I'm even dipping my toes in TikTok. I'm not by any means an expert, And I kind of have that fear of, am I too old to be doing this? But luckily, it's been very well received. And we're mostly using TikTok just as kind of a fun community building kind of, avenue to share content. It's nothing too serious or, too important, but that's definitely been fun. When I have time, which, that's always the problem, is trying to find time to create something new. But I love kind of getting out there and getting video clips, seeing what's trending on Twitter, or not Twitter, but TikTok, and you know, seeing if I can kind of make something that hits with that audience.
I love it. Yeah, I love it. You're trying some new things. And no, it is age appropriate to be on TikTok. It's okay.
It is.
Yeah, it's okay, depending on what you're doing on TikTok.
Exactly.
I have to remind my staff every once in a while. I will not dance on TikTok, but I will be on TikTok.
Same.
I'm totally good with that.
I'll be behind the camera on TikTok.
Yeah. But no, I think what you're doing is fantastic, and getting, trying out some new things. A district your size, you've got lots of different things moving at the same time. So you're really architecting a lot of good creativity for a community that's growing. So good work on all fronts.
Yeah, one of my favorite things that that I kind of feature mostly on TikTok alone, and you'll notice my wall of dogs behind me. We currently have 9 facility dogs in our district. So that's kind of my go-to. I'm a dog person, so they're the perfect, subjects for video or photo. It's like that gets all the likes and comments on our socials. So one feature that I've been doing is I get a little microphone and I go and interview our facility dogs. So it's a fun little thing, and everyone loves to see it. We even kind of cross-shared that on Facebook and Instagram, and it by far gets the most likes out of any other post, is anything that features our facility dogs. So
I love it. I love it. That's super fun. Now I need to go watch the interviews. So I'm going to be trolling over for the dog interviews throughout the school district. So, well, I think it's a fantastic example of like something that you wouldn't know about too if you weren't in the school. So that's super fun.
Yeah, and they're very popular with the kids. They're definitely the superstars, more so than a mascot or the principal or assistant principal. The dogs are the stars of the shows in those buildings. So whether it's taking a photo with them or having them do tricks, 2 of our dogs can read, so they read flashcards.
Wait, what?
I know. They're pretty impressive. So
we're going to have to link out to the reading dogs. So yes, during our editing, we're going to find some reading dogs to link out here. That's super fun.
Yeah. So they're definitely one of my favorite things, besides our great kids, to feature on our channels. But like I said, it gets the most engagement on our socials when we share stories about our facility dogs.
Awesome. Well, Nicole, thanks for sharing with us some of the great work you're doing in Valley View. I'm sure I'll run into you at a conference sometime soon. Yeah, it's really inspiring to see how you're bringing your talents to the table and empowering others to really take that forward. So good work for you. And anything you want to leave our audience with?
I don't think so. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok if you want to see some dog interviews. Our channels are at VVSD365. So please check us out, give us a follow, and hopefully you get inspired by some of our content.